All right, now, who's that little guy? Okay, what's he good for? Information. Yes. Why? Why is he good for information? And so what? Why is that relevant? He can get up there, way the hell up there, where the king can't even see. And he can see everything. It's Horus's eye. That's exactly right. That's the Egyptian eye that says, pay attention. And so the bird is attention, fundamentally. So, and the king, by the same, the bird, he's a little ratty bird, and he's kind of funny. I think he's that English comedian. So he's a bit of a comical character, but the king will listen to him. And so that shows that this king is a properly humble king, because it's just a stupid bird, and you could like bite it in half in one bite, which is kind of what Scar threatens to do, because Scar doesn't want to pay attention, because then he'd figure out who he was. So, but the king, he'll pay attention to even, this is also why in fairy tales it's often the youngest son. The oldest son is usually the one who everyone likes and admires, and he's like the football quarterback, of the fairy tale. And the younger son is like, well, he's kind of a little weaselly, useless guy. And the older son always fails, and then usually the second son fails too. And it's usually because they're arrogant. And then the third son, he's so clueless he doesn't even know what to do. But they kick him out because they just assume get rid of him. And why not let him go? You don't want him around anyways. And so he wanders out in the bush, and he comes across a gnome or something that it's like you just ignore it. The other brothers did, but he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So the gnome talks to him, and he thinks, well, I might as well talk to this gnome, and then the gnome tells him what to do. And then the youngest son wins, and that's an archetypal story too. It's like, if you don't know what you're doing, don't be so sure that you know who to ignore. Now that's a very, very useful piece of advice. But then you might ask yourself, how do you know when you don't know what you're doing? So do you have any thoughts on that? How is it that you would know if you didn't know what you were doing?
You're consistently failing?
Yes, but that's very good. That's very good. But there's one more thing that goes along with that, and I'll just add it, because it's a bit of a trick in some sense. And it's bothering you. Right? So there's failure plus suffering. Now, one of the inferences that you can draw from failure plus suffering is that nature is your enemy, and you're a victim of the Great Father. It's like a very standard presupposition, especially of young people, because of course you're failing, you're young. It's like, what the hell do you know? You've got a whole bunch of things to learn yet before you can be successful. But, that's an archetypal situation in large part. Okay, so